Assalamu alaikum. So we'll be starting from the 21st slide that we covered for the project management, and we have already covered all of the knowledge areas. Moving on. So, what does project planning is, or what does a project manager do when he plans a project? So there are multiple things like there are critical path method. Critical path method is something like that you do when you have to find out which activities are you can say important for your project. So you need to find out those activities that are important for you, and you need to focus on those activities. So critical path method, what it will do is it will help us in finding out those activities which are critical to our project. Gantt chart is basically where we'll uh, plan our project, and you will see the uh, task against timeline. Activity bars are where you can focus on which activity will be done when, and activity bars can be different for different perspective. So there can be multiple activity bars. So build a work plan from activity data. So we have already found our activities, so we have to find out or we have to make a plan uh, regarding work. Display work plan in graphical or tabular form, mostly because people like seeing data in graphical form. So you what you can do is you can plot those data in graphical or tabular form. There are multiple project planning softwares, like there is Microsoft Project, there's Trello, there are Jira. There are multiple projects which you can use for project management. They maintain a database of activities and related data. You can calculate and display schedules and manage progress reports. uh, the purpose of project plan is to define and establish the management strategy for achieving the goals of this project, like what you are going to do, how you are going to do. Multiple things will be included. So this will include the guided project execution, document project planning assumptions, document project planning decisions regarding alternatives if the normal flow is disturbed. Facilitate communication among stakeholders, define key management reviews, what things will be reviewing, and provide a baseline for progress or measurement and project control. Like you have to provide a timeline against which things can be measured. So, like for example, this is a picture where you can see you have phases. This is inception phase, elaboration, construction. These are our tasks like installation, fault correction, and acceptance testing, user training. We have the number of days. Each task is categorized, is put it into a category and a category or a milestone. You can see the milestone details, when it will be starting, when it will be ending. You can see here, this is kind of a Gantt chart where you can see what are the phases, what are the dependencies, and when we'll start the project, when we'll end. So seeing the data in the tabular form is normally not encouraged. So what you have to do is you have to focus on making the data in graphical form. So that will be more applicable, or that will be more presentable to the management. So the planning process flow is, first of all you decide the scope. So we have already discussed scope in detail. Like scope means you have to uh, determine the project scope into two phases, like in scope and out scope. So scope planning, you have to plan the scope, then you have to define the scope. So this is basically scope. So the planning process flow can also be called STRCI. So basically, S represents scope, T represent time, R represent risk, and C represent cost, and I is integration. So we have in scope definition we have activity planning, resource planning, cost estimation, and risk management planning. So like when you are defining a scope, you have to think of four things. First thing will be what are you are going to do. Second thing is who is going to do that, what is the applicable cost, and fourth thing is risk, what risks are involved in those activities. So when you are defining an activity, there will be two further subcategories, like activity sequencing and duration estimating. Like sequencing means when we are going to perform this activity. So this will then contribute to schedule development. Schedule development will be from the activity sequencing and duration. And cost budgeting can come from cost estimating and also the schedule development. Why scheduled development is needed? Because you have to see whether you are doing parallel activities or you are doing sequential activities. For parallel activities, the cost can be reduced, and for the sequential activity, the cost will be much. And project plan development will be integrating all these things here. Facilitating process, you can say what things can be included here. We have quality planning, risk planning, staff acquisition, communication planning, and procurement planning. So all these things contribute to planning process flow. So you have to start with the scope planning, scope defining, and in scope definition you have to work on activity definition. In activity definition you have to work on activity sequencing and activity duration, and which leads to schedule development. Then resource planning contributes to activity duration estimating, cost estimating, and this contributes to schedule development and cost budgeting. These both things then contribute to project plan development. Types of plan, there are multiple plans. So one is software development plan, the central plan which describes how the system will be developed. Quality assurance plan, like which will determine what are the quality procedures and what are the quality standards that you are miring. And validation plan defines how a client will validate the system that has been developed. So this validation plan is normally for the end user to see what type of tests he will run, he or the company will run to check whether the software has been completed or not. There's a configuration management plan to see how the system will be configured and installed. There's a maintenance plan which will see how the system will be maintained, what will be the cost of maintenance, will there be a free maintenance or paid maintenance. And there's a staff development plan which includes how the skills of the staff can be improved. The plan format is normally you have the contents can be different, the format can be different. You have the introduction or overview, you have project organization will be including organization chart, responsibilities, management and technical approach which will include objectives, project control, risk management, staffing, technical processes, project scope which will include major work packages or work. WBS stands for work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure you will see in a short while what it is. There will be key deliverables and other information. Project schedule will include a summary and detailed schedules. Budget will also be a part of plan. So scope definition. So there are two scopes. One is product scope, one is project scope. The product scope can be, you can say, the features and functions that are to be included in the product or service. Project scope is the work must be done in order to deliver a product. Product scope is defined in product requirement and is the subject of product life cycle, and project scope is defined in the project charter and is the subject of project plan. So you can see if you determine which is a bigger picture, which is a bigger cycle. So project is a bigger cycle and product is one part of the project. So product can be multiple. You can have multiple products, like SRS can be a product, like code can be a product, like testing can be a product. So in project scope all things will be covered, and in product you can focus on one thing. So decomposition, you if you have big deliverables, what you can do is you can divide those deliverables into small, more manageable components. This small composition helps in achieving the goals more properly. Like if you have to plan for the whole project, it becomes kind of impossible. So what you can do is you can divide the project into phases. Like requirement can be one phase, design can be one phase, coding can be one phase, testing can be one phase, maintenance can be one phase. And for each project or for each activity you can then have planning, execution, controlling, and closing phase. So this will make it more easier for you to focus on the project. So what are the steps? You can say the major steps are: identify the deliverable of the project, identify the work products of the deliverable, and decide if the cost and duration estimate can be developed at this level for detail of each element. Like normally you for most of the things the cost estimate will come with time. Like at the requirement phase you cannot estimate the cost of testing or the cost of coding. So you can have an approximation, but like to give the exact figure, there